Good evening, sir, and welcome to Effect Extra. For the benefit of those in diaspora, can you please tell us about yourself and why you decided to go into politics?
Well, my name is Dayo, Saka Fafunmi. I represent Ifakoijai Constituency 1 at the State House of Assembly. I was born into the political family of late Saka Fafunmi. My late dad was an astute politician in my local government. I went to local authority primary school at Gege. Then that was when we experienced, the shift. People, some will go to school in the morning, some will go to school in the afternoon, and some will go to school in the evening. That was a practice then. Thank God for free education. Thank God for Latif Jakonde, who eventually introduced, more schools in Lagos. I was one of the beneficiaries. So I later went to Okera Primary School to complete my primary education. Later from there, went to Okera Grammar School, and I went to University of Ilorin, where I studied engineering, my first degree. Aside all that, I did a couple of courses, both here and abroad. And, one of those courses, most of them are leadership courses. And currently I study law at the prestigious University of Lagos in Nigeria. Yeah, you said why did I go into politics?
Yes.
Well, I think politics has always been part of me. It has always been part of what the whole essence of politics is about, rendering service. When I was growing up, even during my university days, I was a member of the Student Representative Council. And at that level, it gave me an opportunity to, represent my faculty and, know the problems of the people and set an agenda. Because the whole essence of, practicing politics in university is for us to, have a feel of the larger society, know how to build, leadership right from the university days. So when I left university, I didn't just venture into politics. I worked for about 10 years after leaving university. So I practiced engineering. And I tell you, it's not as if I've forgotten my profession. It's something I have passion for. And, politics is a calling, because you see, when you look at your environment and you look at things the way they're being done, the only way you can effect change is by being the change itself.
All right, sir. You said it's a calling, and you said the only way you can effect change is by actually
being part of the change.
Part of the change. But for any layman, or if anybody should listen to what you just said now, the first thing that might come to their mind is, yeah, we've heard all this before. So what do you think you as a person can offer to the people that voted you in that the others before you haven't done before?
Well, let me say that every constituency have its own peculiarity. Where I represent, Ifakoijai happens to be, it is not a local constituency, it's not a rural local government. It's a semi-urban local government. And to a large extent, I know I have lived in the local government right from when I was 4 years old. And I seem to understand the terrain and the needs of the people. So that's, gave me leverage over the people who have represented the local government before me. Let me quick to say that I looked at the scenario, the happenings around the local government. While I was going to school, most of the people, in fact, there's hardly any home within my constituency that you will not find, an undergraduate. But somehow, I discovered that, there's a huge gap between people, the interest in going to school suddenly declined, and it gave me serious concern. So when I looked at the whole issue, and I was able to come up with certain reasons, and in my own little way, I tried to bridge the gap to ensure that I encourage the young ones within my constituency, and that ultimately made me, made my constituents to adore me.
Sorry to cut you in. You said you encourage the young ones. In what way were you able to persuade them to?
Well, the first thing in solving any issue or a problem is you need to identify the cause, then analyze it, and see what you can do to turn things around. Most of them, after leaving secondary school, they have the erroneous belief that, well, secondary education might sustain them. It does not happen only in Nigeria. It affected a lot of Americans. Even as I speak, most Americans, greater percentage, after leaving secondary school, their high school, they don't see the need. Very few of them who want to go further, especially, the colored race. Now, I looked at that, and I feel the only way is to see how I can give support to those, downtrodden, who are seriously yearning to learn. So I encourage them. I organize free coaching program. I give them free JAM form, enroll them for GC, and in no distant time, we started yielding results. I looked at the dichotomy. I looked at the gap between the very rich ones and those majority of my constituents. I noticed that most of them, in the morning, you see people who are somehow opportune to come from a rich family, being taken in private cars to their schools. And I discovered that most of those children at that tender age have started feeling inferior, and in a way to balance it and, give them, a meeting of mind, I introduced free bus ride.
And people are actually seeing it.
Yeah.
In your constituency.
Yeah. So I bought the American school bus, brought it in, and that's what they have been enjoying. It's still working as I speak to you. And if you care to see it, it's parked in my constituency. This, I encourage them in the area of computer training. Bought a lot of computers, I brought instructors, they were training them, because there's nothing you want to do now that you are not going to do it on a system. Even if you want to write JAM, you need to have access to computer. Most people will fail JAM, not because they don't know what to do, but if they are holding the mouse for the very first time, they are meant to be apprehensive, and in the process, it might jeopardize their chance of passing the exams. So I give them the opportunity of familiarizing themselves with computer. They will be well tutored. Even graduates, people who had, graduated from university, polytechnics, they come there, learn it. Even I run 4 courses, 4 shifts. The morning, 2 hours, 9 to 11, 12 to 2, 3 to 5. The last set, 4 to 6, I have a particular set of students who are in secondary school, or some who are even in primary 5 or 6. They only most of them look at computers. They just look at it as something that is a machine. They don't really have access to it. Now, I gave them the opportunity of playing around with it. They see it as a normal thing, as a tool in their hands, and it has actually encouraged them. It has motivated most of them to acquire the skill, and it is a skill that they need to, go to greater height. Over the years, what I can say, because all these programs, among other things, I have a fashion institute, as I speak. It affords, those who don't really want to do computer training and all those things, the opportunity of learning how to, sew and be self-dependent. To a large extent, the ones that I've trained over 150, and what I do in fashion, if I train you, I just don't leave you alone. I train and I empower you in a little way, give them machine, let them start off from there. So all this have endeared me, into the hearts of my constituents. And that is why I have the opportunity, the singular opportunity of representing them for a record third term in the House. It is quite unprecedented, and I appreciate my people. And even look at the voting pattern. I score more votes at the general election, even more than the governor. So it's a reflection of the fact that, this is what the people want, and that's what they're getting. Nigerians are not asking for too much. That is one thing I notice about Nigeria. Every representative should strive hard to meet the needs of the people.
But do you think that is actually happening?
Well, it happens in some area. I'm just grateful to my people for appreciating my humble effort. I can tell you that I have other honorable members in other constituencies who are doing, similar projects, and I must tell you, what is important now in Nigeria is not the party that you belong to. What do you symbolize? Who is this man? Now, people have discovered that if you keep voting one particular party, they can take you for granted. And though you saw the wind of change that happened in the country recently, is an indication that, look, you just have to perform, otherwise people will show you the way out. So that has always been my driving point.
So we can just say your main aim is just, one of your main achievements is just education, education, education.
Well, because I believe that education unlocks the door to greater height. It is education. Education means hope to you. If you are not educated, you probably don't have any hope in life. That's just my belief. Because an educated mind can, the word itself is should I say, is an intricate word. And for you to understand the intricacies of life itself, you should be able to extricate it, articulate the problem. That is when you can, you can make meaningful contribution. So I have looked at the problem intrinsically. I decided to extricate the area that I think I can stand, and from there approach other ones. That's what I've done. It is not only in education, but education, I believe strongly, is the most important one.
This is the third time you're representing your constituency.
That's right.
As
the honorable member
of Assembly, Lagos State. After the third term, what
do I intend to do?
What is your long-term political ambition?
Oh, nice one. Well, by virtue of most of my training, I've been trained to be a lawmaker. I'm grateful to the leadership of Lagos State House of Assembly, and that is why the House stands out amongst all the houses of assembly in Nigeria and even in the West Africa. I can tell you for free that the level of exposure, training that Lagos lawmakers have had over the years have transformed the legislative business of Lagos. And if you look at what happens in Lagos, the most important thing that a lawmaker, the most essential thing that we do is to turn out new laws. And it is these laws that will transform, the country. And if you see what has happened in Lagos, the transformation of Lagos, is as a result of the laws that we passed in Lagos. If you have a docile house, if you have a house that cannot match the pace of the executive, you probably will not see meaningful development in the state. So I will say that I'm proud to be in Lagos House. I'm proud to, have been under the leadership of Adeyemi Kufuoriji, and having the privilege of working with the main man himself, the governor of the state, Babatunde Raji Fashola, who at all times, we need to have a man who understands the tripod, the separation of powers. We need to have a man who understands that, look, legislative duty is this. Yes. Allow them to do their duty. Yeah. This is executive duty. We would equally allow them to do their duty. So largely, it has always been should I say, it has always been, we always watch our back and see how we can, deliver the promises made to the people. And the people of Lagos have shown appreciation for what the state have been able to do.
Now back to my question, sir.
Yeah.
So what's your
my long-term ambition is to go to the National Assembly and see what I can do to better the life of not only the people of my constituency, but the entire country as a whole. Because we need to, it is not as if our laws, we don't have enough laws in Nigeria. What is important is that any law that is not respected is as good as ordinary word. It's a dead letter word. So what I intend to do, if given the opportunity to go to National Assembly, I will be one of those that will canvass for improved service delivery at the local government. I'm so passionate about that because the essence of local government is to, move government closer to the people. And when people are not getting that expected result, well, we will see how to transform and get better.
But if for a layman or someone that comes from a foreign land, I believe if you drive from Ikeja to probably Pangrove, you will see a lot of people breaking the law. You understand? How or what do you think people like you, sir, can do for people to be more aware on how to abide by the law and the rules of the land?
Well, for me, I would say that it is not as if people are not aware of the law. It is not. You see, sometimes when we make laws, we often think that a law without penalty, most people will say that is no law, because as long as you cannot categorize it as an offense, you cannot, either criminal or civil, you cannot, accost me or tell me that I violated the law. Now, what I think we should do is to look at the law holistically and find a way to make people obey the law. The only difference between our laws and the law made in maybe Britain, America, is that you say when you run foul of the law, the long arm of the law will eventually catch up with you. And because of that, you are conscious of your actions and you will not want to break the law. But it does not happen here in Nigeria. As long as you are able to escape at that point uncaught, there's no other person, there's no other means of proving that you actually committed it. So most of the traffic offenses that people commit here in not only Nigeria, the entire West Africa, we've not been able to find a way of ensuring that for every offense committed, the long arm is able to catch up with the offender. That is the only time people will respect the law. That is the only time people will obey the law. It is not the amount of punishment. If I know that, look, if I do this and I'm able to run away, nothing, there's no proof, people will always want to do it and want to run away. But if you know that there is nowhere you run to, there's nowhere you hide, that the long arm of the law will catch up with you, you will refrain from doing such an act. You probably will not want anything that will, bring disrepute to your name or your personality. So to a large extent, we need to fine-tune our law with a view to ensuring that we obey this law. Laws, law does not discriminate. There's no law that is specific for a particular group of persons. Even the lawmakers that make the law, they are not above the law. Anyone.
Well, that seems to be the case in Nigeria. Not even the lawmakers. You can see most of the security agents, the police, the law. Is it the lawman? Is it
LASMA, the military?
You understand? They use their to just harass people.
That is my reason for telling you that. Look, we need to put a system in place that will ensure that everyone will account for his action or inaction. Look at this BRT lane. The governor at a point had arrested a military officer plying that route. And, a lot of people were saying, some, applauded his guts to have done that. Some were saying, why would they stop the military from using the route? What we want to do, look, the military, even the military, they are not above the law. Every Nigerian must conform with the statutes, the constitutional provisions, and all relevant laws. So if you don't do that, if you don't respect the law, we'll keep having the same problem that we're having. It is when you disobey law, when you don't respect your law, it is nothing but corruption. Because corruption is not stealing money. Corruption basically is an illegal act. When you do anything against the law, it is, and you are, someone because you know Mr. A or you know Mr. C, and somehow they sweep it behind the carpet. It is corruption. So until we're able to pursue and ensure that if you commit an act which is against the law, there's a process in place that will ensure strict adherence to the law, people won't stop breaking the law in Nigeria.
Thank you very much, sir. With all what you've done in your constituency and your vision, your knowledge, and the way you think this state or Nigeria in general should be, do you see yourself going for the governorship race, or what will happen if your party should decide that you should go for the governorship race?
Well, I'm a normal human being, and as a human being, I have to be ambitious. Yes. But I'm not a man that is overtly ambitious. Now, for you to become the governor of a state, it takes. It actually takes time, it takes some processes. It is not the educational qualification, it is not only your mental capacity, but Lagos, it's one state that we have a way of, getting our governors. There's a process. And until I'm in that queue, I'm not looking in that direction.
You said there's a process.
There's a process.
Is it from the party?
Yeah, it's a process.
That is meant to.
It's a process because the party, you have to be the candidate of the party before you can run. And that's what the Constitution says.
Yeah.
Now, for you to get the party nomination, there's a process, because we have, people, credible leaders in my party that, you just have to, you build it up. It's not something that happens overnight. But I tell you, if I'm being given the opportunity, Lagos is different from any other state. You are not going to think of what to do in the next. Lagos has a developmental plan where Lagos will be in 2020, 2025. There is a process in place where you know the destination, you know the next thing to do in Lagos. So when you have a party or a government with such a structure, it is very easy for you to come in and get to the destination. So
who are your role models in the political scene, and why?
Well, my role model, I'll tell you that my number one role model in the political scene in Nigeria is Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He's a man that I can't really describe. Is a man with a very large heart. Even when you offend him, he finds a way of forgiving you and draw you closer. A man who stood tall to be the lone and the leading voice of the opposition when others have decided to abandon it. When you are in opposition, you are being deprived of everything. This man, they find it difficult to silence him. They can't just, stop him from talking. And today, he's been able to deliver us, to deliver not only Lagos, but the entire country, with the support of other leaders, to deliver us from the hands of the tyrant. And the PDP people who have been ruling us since 1999 with nothing, absolutely nothing to show for it, and with no ideas, no clear sense of direction. So you will appreciate such a man. Unfortunately, I've not, it's someone that I look at him and I just know that Nigeria is blessed to have him in our midst. Because if all of us could dream his dream, if most of us could think like him, Nigeria would be a better place.
So where do you see Lagos State and Nigeria
under the leadership
of APC in the next 5 years?
Well, I know that APC has come to reform the already decayed system that we find ourselves in Nigeria. APC, from what the presidential candidate, we all know what he stands for. He has zero tolerance for corruption. And because of that, you will see that the rule of law will find its roots back into the midst of Nigerians. And I know that the problem that we have as a nation, the problem of electricity, will be sufficiently addressed. It is only Nigeria, of all the oil-producing states, that will export oil and import finished products. What we have been doing to ourselves as a nation since 1999 is just like, burning the resources of this country. How do you explain this? When you have crude, you sell your crude to someone who will take the crude, build refinery very close by, maybe possibly around Benin Republic, but outside Nigeria, create employment, generate gas, which is used to drive turbine, and they have electricity in those areas where your product is being refined. And all the refineries in Nigeria refuse to work. You should know that there is something wrong with the system. And I know that APC will overhaul the system. I have never seen a country that every year in their budgetary provision, they will have a budget for subsidies, to subsidize this, to subsidize petroleum products. We all know that it's nothing but corruption. And APC has come to show Nigerians the way to govern Nigeria. And I'll tell you that within the first 2 years might be rough because of the level of decay in the system. But after the first 2 years, Nigerians will be happy to have General Muhammad Buhari as the president of Nigeria.
All right, just quickly.
A quick one.
Yeah, a quick one, sir. You're young and handsome, yes. And how do you cope? You're married, obviously. Yes. So how do you manage your marital life from the political scene?
Well, you need to divorce your work from your social life. I have my own private life, but the essential thing is I always see myself as someone who lives in a glass house and should not be seen throwing stones. You are occupying a public office. You have a minimum standard of behavior that you need to put up anywhere you are, because you are not only representing yourself and your family, you are representing the entire constituency, the entire people. So because of that, I've been able to, find a meeting of mind, a meeting point where, okay, this is my official job, I'll do it this way. And when it comes to my private life, what happens within my bedroom, within my house, is my own private business. So what happens outside, once I'm outside my house, I'm Honorable so and so. But within my house, I still remain Dayo. So anything that happens there is not for public consumption. But what happens outside is the news.
So how do you relax?
I relax. Well, I'll tell you, Nigerians, we hardly relax, especially in Lagos State. And the only time we have for ourselves to relax is when we are outside the state. And, being a politician, you have to be very close to your constituent. Your constituent will call you. If not for this interview, you probably will see my phone ringing continuously. And, people will want to advert your mind to their immediate problems and the needs of the constituency. So these are issues that, most of the time preoccupied our thought, and we don't really have time to unwind. But by and large, we attend parties. We live our own normal life during weekend when we are not on duty. And I live a low-key life, so my life has not, I've not seen myself as someone who is, very different from what I used to be before I became a lawmaker.
All right, sir, just the last two questions, sir. You studied engineering, then you're now studying law, and you're in politics. Do you see yourself going back into engineering or being a lawyer, or you see yourself just staying in politics?
Well, politics, I'm going to stay in politics for a very long time. It does not mean that I'll keep contesting. You understand? Ever since I've been in government for like 8 years now as a representative of the people. It is an election. I'm at the mercy of my constituent. If they want me, they will put me. You understand? And the Constitution is silent about the number of times a lawmaker can represent In my own Lagos house, we have people who have represented their constituency 4 times. You know, yeah. So, and I know that someone might even come for 5th time or aspire for something higher than this Lagos house. Going back to your question on, what's the question? Law, politics, and engineering. As I said, it's a function of the societal needs. It's a function of, look, I decided to study law to, you know, be a better person. A lawyer thinks differently. A lawyer, the legal perspective, the moral perspective, everything about it is because, you see, it makes you a different person for studying law. You look at the vice president, when he starts off to speak in public, people, you know, listen, and it's because of his cause. You know, and the jurisprudential part of him, you know, makes him stand out. It's an enigma. He's a man that belongs to a different realm. So Nigeria will see meaningful development under this new dispensation. And in my own case, I'm not leaving my profession. I'm not leaving my engineering profession. At any time, I'll keep doing what I'm doing, and I'll still be practicing my profession.
So what are your advices to the up and coming Nigerians that are aspiring to be like you?
Well, my sincere advice for anyone who wants to be a politician is to strive very hard, make a mark in their own professional calling, because Lagos House, I tell you, it's a compendium of professionals, people with diverse backgrounds. And, you know, you see lawyers, you see engineers, you see medical doctors, you see all manners of professions. And that is why the quality of debate, the quality of legislation is second to none. So I will rather advise anyone who wants to be who wants to go into politics, to first start off its own calling. And, you know, when you are fully established yourself, because you can't play politics without money. So you need to have attained a certain standard before venturing into politics. It's just, you offer yourself for service. It is a function of the decision of the people. If they want you to lead them, they will give you the mandate.
Thank you very much, sir.